The stock market crashes, the dollar weakens, interest rates spike, and yet I keep making money in real estate. Here's what very few people will tell you. Real estate wins no matter what the economy is doing, and you cannot say that about any other investment. The big key here is understanding what to do with real estate when the market corrects or when the market shifts. In this video, I'm going to go over all of the main economic conditions or factors, and then I'm going to tell you what to do within real estate to take advantage of those conditions. There's really nothing else that allows this much adaptability and allows you to pull all these levers as the economy and conditions around you are changing. You can't control what happens around you, but if you understand real estate and you understand how to take advantage of it after watching this video, you'll be able to pull the right lever at the right time and see what wealthy people see, which is no matter what's going on, there is a way to be successful and make money. That's why I hear this all the time, and I'm hearing it now. Well, we're currently in the biggest wealth transfer in history. The wealthy are getting wealthier, the rich are getting richer, while the poor are getting poorer. That's because wealthy people understand how to make money no matter what, and I'm going to show you how to make money in real estate no matter what. All other assets rely on the economy. Real estate relies on you to move within the current market conditions. All right, let's talk about house prices going up rapidly and how you can take advantage of that. And don't worry, we're going to talk about what happens when prices go down and how you can take advantage of that. Current condition one is a booming market, low supply and high demand, which is basically where we've been at for the past several years with a few dips along the way. This is why real estate wins. Equity skyrockets. If I own real estate, which I do, and house prices and the value of real estate goes up, my equity just goes up faster. Real estate tends to follow inflation, so it's going to go up 2-3% every single year, no matter what, with, of course, minor small dips, but generally real estate goes up. It doubles in value every 15 years at a minimum. If you don't believe me, go look it up. I have. Ask ChatGPT, ask whoever you want. Do the research yourself. Real estate at minimum doubles in value every 15 years. But there are certain times when it goes up even faster. And if you own that real estate, your equity and your net worth goes up even faster. Naturally, real estate's going to go up a little bit every single year over time, and the mortgage is going to get paid down. But when house values and prices go up, this one moves even faster. Therefore, your equity goes up. Naturally, owning real estate as houses unnaturally skyrocket in price means you get richer. Rents also increase during this time. So if you own an asset with a fixed interest rate, you're going to cash flow even more. This also allows you to take advantage of that equity by doing cash out refinances. If interest rates are decent, you can take advantage of that rise in equity. It doesn't just sit there and you went from $250,000 in equity to $400,000 in equity overnight. You can pull from that equity with refinances and take that cash and pay things off or utilize it to grow something elsewhere. Now, if you don't own real estate and this is happening, it can make it a little bit trickier to get into the game. But if you are going to get in the game when house prices are absolutely skyrocketing, you can take advantage of all three options. Those three options are wholesaling, flipping, and renting. If you're going to be wholesaling, you should be able to make more money because it's a hot market and everybody wants in. If you're flipping, flip as quickly as possible to take advantage of that hot market. I can't tell you how many times in 2021 and 2022 when the market was absolutely ripping, we would buy a flip with a $300K after repair value. We'd get in there, we'd flip it, and by the time we reran our comps, we'd list that dang thing at $329. We didn't do anything differently, but the market went up that drastically and it was that hot that we were able to make an extra 30 grand and take advantage of that market. And on the rental property side, you should have a similar result in value increases, that your appraisals on the refinance of the BRRRR method should be pretty darn easy because the value went up so much. If you want to learn more about investing in real estate, hit that like button. All right, so prices don't always go up. They do about 90% of the time, similar to the stock market. However, sometimes prices do go down. So let's talk about what you can do if real estate values are going down, which hasn't happened in aggregate in a long time, in probably about 10 or 12 years. But let's talk about what you can do when it does eventually happen. It won't be for a long time though, don't worry, but eventually it will happen. Let's talk about how you can take advantage of a declining value market. The most obvious one is it's on sale. It's like going to a store and buying something you were going to buy anyway, but getting a 10, 20, or 30% discount because the values went down. This happened so much in 2009, 10, 11, 12, and 13. I looked at houses that people bought at the time for 40, 50 grand in St. Louis that are now worth 250 grand. Real estate goes up over time. It just does. With inflation and the cost of replacement, real estate's always going to cost more in 10 years than what it costs now to build. Therefore, the value of even existing real estate in 10 years is going to always cost more than it does today, assuming you're in a good to decent area. So take advantage of that dip and buy as much as you can. Imagine buying something that you know is going to double or triple in value in 10 or 15 years and be able to buy it for 20 or 30% less. If it was a stock or if it was any other investment, you would jump all over it. You need to jump all over it in real estate. It can be kind of scary because of all the fear mongers and the sky's falling people. However, real estate will rebound. Even after 08, within 18, 24 months, it was already back to where it was. Real estate does always go up. So if it does ever dip, take advantage of it and buy. This usually means that the economy is being affected in some way, shape, or form, so there probably are going to be even more motivated sellers. If real estate values are dropping, it means something's going wrong in the economy. So again, take advantage of it. The Oracle from Omaha, Warren Buffett, who everybody knows probably is the only one making money this year because he's able to see into the future to a certain degree, says, when other people are greedy, be fearful. When other people are fearful, be greedy. Prices are going down drastically. There's going to be a lot of fear in the market. This is your time to strike and be greedy, buying at discounts and having an influx of motivated sellers. And rental demand tends to actually increase at this time. So if you own rentals and got ahead of the game already, your house values are potentially going down a certain amount, which I guess isn't good. But if you're not selling it, doesn't really matter what the value is. It can go from 250 to 220. You're not selling. Guess what? Within 5 or 10 years, it's going to be at 350 to 400. So it's going to go up. So as long as you're not looking to sell and you position yourself properly, you're going to have even more qualified tenants to choose from, which will allow you to put better tenants in your property that will take better care of it. And depending on what interest rates are doing, there will be a lot of people needing to get rid of their house, which will give you the option to potentially do some type of seller financing deal to pay enough money to help out the seller, but also get an asset at a great price. This is the time to focus on cash flow over appreciation. Your house values are potentially going down a certain amount, which I guess isn't good, but if you're not selling it, doesn't really matter what the value is. It can go from 250 to 220. You're not selling. Guess what? Within 5 or 10 years, it's going to be at 350 to 400. So it's going to go up. So as long as you're not looking to sell and you position yourself properly, you're going to have even more qualified tenants to choose from, which will allow you to put better tenants in your property that will take better care of it. And depending on what interest rates are doing, there will be a lot of people needing to get rid of their house, which will give you the option to potentially do some type of seller financing deal to pay enough money to help out the seller, but also get an asset at a great price. This is a time to focus on cash flow over appreciation. However, if you own rental properties, you probably know by now cash flow isn't all that it's cracked up to be, and just stack those underpriced assets for the next wave up and your equity will double. All right, let's talk about the big word inflation right now. Inflation was something that I kind of knew about growing up in my first 5-7 years in business. However, after COVID and all the things that went on with inflation going all the way up to almost 10% and probably realistically more than that, inflation is a thing that we need to address. And let's talk about what to do in real estate if you're entering in an inflationary time. When inflation's high, you saw it recently, the value of the dollar goes down, and that's important here. Rent will go up. We saw that during 2021 and 2022. My rent of my properties and market rent went up drastically. The cost of everything goes up with inflation, including rent. If you're able to lock in 30-year mortgages, if you're able to lock in long-term financing, now with inflation, that usually would be counteracted by interest rates going up, which makes the cost of money higher, which I'm not going to tell you is a good thing. However, the beautiful thing about real estate is you're able to lock in rates, which is what we did in 2021. We locked in crazy low rate finance financing. So as interest rates have gone up drastically over the past few years, it hasn't affected us because we got ahead of the game, and you're able to do that with real estate. You're not able to buy a ton of Tesla stock 4 years from now, not knowing the cost of things. That's kind of what you can do with real estate. You can lock in an interest rate and know that you're going to have a fixed interest rate, even during inflationary time when rents go up even more, so you're able to cash flow even more. And of course, with inflation means house values go up. So similar to section 1, if you have inflation, the cost of real estate will go up because of the labor and all the materials that inflation affects. Therefore, somebody building a house near the house that you own is going to cost more. Therefore, they're going to sell it for more. Therefore, the value of your house in that area will go up. It's just another way and another effect that is positive in owning real estate. Inflation's high, you're creating more wealth. All right, now let's talk about what to do when interest rates rise, because obviously that can happen and has happened. The Fed raised, whatever it is, interest rates pretty drastically over the past few years. It's kind of starting to settle down a little bit more, and we're hoping for a few more drops, and that directly/indirectly affects the 30-year mortgage. So quick lesson here, the Fed's funds rate has not really much to do with the 30-year mortgage. The 30-year mortgage is based on the 10-year Treasury note and some other factors which the Fed's funds rate can affect, but that does not affect it directly. If the Fed lowers rates, that doesn't mean the 30-year mortgage is going to be lowered. In fact, the Fed has lowered rates a little bit recently, and the 30-year mortgage has kind of remained stagnant and in some cases has gone up. So they're separate, but kind of linked. When this happens and the cost of money goes up, tons of the competition leaves. I've seen this happen firsthand over the past couple of years. A lot of the looky-loos or weekend warriors that want to get into flipping because they saw a show on TV or somebody post on social media about how much money they made, got into the game in 20, 21, 22, and they made money because it was really easy to make money back then because prices were going up like crazy and interest rates hadn't skyrocketed too much. So the cost of money was low while values and rent went crazy. So it's pretty easy to flip, wholesale, or rent and make money. However, it's gotten a lot harder. So if you're a weekend warrior and don't really know what you're doing, it's a bit harder to make money these days in flipping, wholesaling, or renting. So a lot of those people that did it on the side went back to their full-time job or focused back on their full-time job. And I've even seen some bigger companies, our size, that flip hundreds of houses a year go out of business because the cost of money through the Fed's funds rate has gone up, which makes it harder to do business. When it costs me more money to buy something and that something I'm buying hasn't drastically gone up in price, my margins shrink, and shrinking margins is not good for any business. A huge play here is getting into creative financing, getting into subject to or sub-to loans. Now, for those that don't know, sub-to loan is simply you just taking over somebody else's mortgage. It's a little more complex than that, but that's basically it. What's happened a ton over the past couple of years, savvy investors have seen recently that the cost of money and interest rates have gone up a lot, but the counter to that is taking over somebody's existing mortgage at a low rate. So for example, if you're going to look at a property to flip or keep as a rental and the owner has a 30-year mortgage on the property in 2021 at 3%, we're 4 years into that, so there's 26 years left on the mortgage at 3%, you can take over that mortgage. You either pay them money or not, depending on their situation, and now you have a 3% loan on that property, and you're able to flip it or keep it as a rental and probably cash flow pretty good. So again, this is what I was talking about at the beginning of this video. Real estate just allows for you to pull levers no matter what is going on. There are a ton of great investments, but there's no investment that allows you to be as agile and proactive and reactive as real estate. And over the past couple of years, something that I've taken advantage of and actually started is DSCR loans. They're called debt service coverage ratio loans, and those loans are based on the income that asset or real estate produces. They're lower rates than you can get from the Fed's funds rate or any other type of mortgage, so it's a new type of long-term investing strategy. It's been around for a while, but just got popular recently, that allows you to get interest rates at much lower than market. In fact, I have a company that can do 30-year DSCR loans fixed rate for you in the 6s, more than likely, depending on where you're coming from and where you're investing. I'll talk about that at the end and give you another avenue. All right, now let's talk about what happens when interest rates drop. As you can see, I'm trying to cover every possible scenario and give you solutions. So let's say interest rates drop like they did after COVID and like they're probably going to slightly do over the next 12 to 24 months. When interest rates drop is when everybody gets into the game. The cost of money is cheaper and there's just more activity going on because more people are willing to sell their house and get out of their current low rate mortgages. So many people are sitting at 2.5%, 3.5%, 4% mortgages right now. And if they don't have to move, they're not going to because they can afford less of a house at a 7% mortgage, even paying more money. So when the general cost of money lowers, a lot more people get into the investing and the retail space, meaning they're buying investment properties and just selling their personal houses because it's just easier to transact. When this happens, home prices tend to go up, which I'm not going to go over that again. We talked about that earlier, but that just gives you equity in what you own already and allows you to take advantage of that moving train. HELOCs, home equity lines of credit, and cash out refinances are going to be huge at this time, and they're going to be huge here in the next few years when rates do come down a little bit. What you can do is what we're going to do, take advantage of those low rates and lock in long-term financing. Over the past few years, I haven't stopped buying real estate. I've just bought a little bit less and it doesn't cash flow as much because the cost of money is higher, even with those DSCR loans I was talking about earlier. But when all rates go down, you're able to take advantage of that and again, lock in what you bought over the past few years during higher interest rates, lock in that lower interest rate, and then you know you're going to be set over the next few years for when inevitably interest rates go back up. If you haven't figured it out yet, let me tell you a little secret. The economy is cyclical. Nobody knows exactly when things happen, but they do happen over and over. Stock market goes up, stock market goes down. Real estate goes up, real estate goes down. Interest rates go up, interest rate goes down. Inflation goes up, inflation goes down. It's a cyclical thing that's not really predictable. However, with real estate, if you kind of have your hands into flipping and wholesaling and renting and understand different concepts, you're able to at least take advantage of it before most people do. And as a bonus one, let's talk about what happens when the market is flat. It doesn't happen very often, but this in-between time when it's kind of flat, nobody knows if it's going to go up or down, scares a ton of people. So let's talk about what happens during that time. So there's not going to be much movement going on. So this is when you can sit back, and I wouldn't say relax, but maybe, and let real estate does what it does. If there's a flat market, real estate will be going up in value slightly. And let's say it doesn't even go up slightly. Let's say your real estate today is worth the same in a year from now. During that time, you will have been collecting cash flow, you will have been getting tax savings, and you will have been getting debt pay down. So let's say you have a $250,000 house with a $150,000 mortgage, but that $250,000 house didn't go up in value, but maybe that $150,000 mortgage got paid down to $140,000 or $135,000. So you're able to gain equity while the value of the asset didn't go up at all, probably collecting cash flow and save money in taxes. So even when the market's not doing anything, real estate is still working for you. Stocks go up, stocks go down. Crypto can crash even overnight. But real estate, it gives you control, leverage, cash flow, tax savings, and wealth. If you play the game right, you win no matter what. All right, I talked a little bit earlier. I want to give you two quick things. If you want access to my financing partner, FasterFreedom Capital, go to FasterFreedomCapital.com or the link in my bio. And if you want me to teach you and my team teach you how to take advantage of all these situations and have a coach and a mentorship behind you that understand what's going on to help guide you and take advantage of all this I talked about, all you have to do is, again, go to the link in my description, and it's going to be pinned to the top of this comment section. It's just a quick questionnaire that sees if you're a good fit for my community. Obviously, I give away as much as I can for free here on social media and YouTube, but if you want me and my team to coach you and hold your hand and help you and ensure that you're successful getting into this, I do have a community. Now, you can't sign up just by clicking on the link, so don't worry. It just allows you to have a conversation with my team, a quick interview, for lack of a better term, to see if you're going to be a good fit. And if you are, we can give you your options. If you're not, no big deal. Just go back to watching all my free content. But regardless, setting up that call will at least give you some more information. Hope you appreciated this. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe, make sure that notification bell, and check out this video over here that talks about how to actually invest in real estate. See you on the next one.